Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Rockin' Beards podcast. It is episode 46. My name is HSR.
What up, it's Syd.
And this week we're going to be talking about an album, but before we get to that, we're going to do the housekeeping part, which is where I'm going to drivel on for a minute, and if you want to skip that, feel free to hit the description, and you'll see where we actually start the podcast. But we are going to start with our favorite comment from last week's video, which is, again, from Lindell Williams.
Rock, Lindell.
You do rock. We appreciate your comments every single time, and all your comments, every single person. So I just listened to this album, and it's not bad. Even given the fact that they had videos, which I don't care all that much, attached to some of their songs, there was something said in the video not about feeling like this is an album, just thrown together to sell to the people. That's the way I felt when I was listening to this album, and that's one of the things I like to hear from what I want an artist to show, that they are in love with the craft, which usually makes me fall in love with them. Great review, and I like the sexy goth look, Kristen, which Kristen appreciates, I think. I don't know.
She is always in black.
And she'll be back next week, if I'm not mistaken, with our next review. I know she has asked us to review Less Than Jake, I think it was. So,
oh, sweet, really?
Yeah, they have an album coming, so let us know if you're excited for that. Before we get into the show, though, I wanted to mention that we have the request list now available. It will be updated over time. It takes some time to get together, but for now you can see everything from the start of the channel till November that was requested.
How do they find it?
Well, they can click on the Google Docs link in the description and open it up and take a gander.
That's pretty cool.
That means that we do read all your comments. And speaking of comments, there is the Grind to 1,000 subscribers contest. Now, how that works is if you like the video, you subscribe to the channel, and you leave a comment about the album, about our review, something to engage in conversation or something, you enter into a raffle, with first prize being $100 of Amazon gift money, plus you get to request a review from us and pick who does the review. Holy shit, that's dope, and we'll do it as quick as possible once that happens. Second place is $50 plus the same review deal. Third place is $25 plus the same review deal. And if we can hit that shit before February 20th, 2 extra people will in fact receive $25 gift cards. And if not, oh well. So 3 to 5 people finna win some cash of Amazon money. Or if you happen to be somewhere without Amazon, we'll pick an equivalent. Anyway. The best part is for every video that you comment on that is not this video, you get an extra raffle. And for every comment you've left in the past, you're automatically entered in. Yay! Okay, enough of that plugging shit. Let's move on to talk about the album that you're all here for. Sydney, please introduce the album that we are covering this week.
Today we're doing AWOLNATION, Here Come The Runts.
Yes, that's the album that we're doing today. I'll go real quick. I know the song Sail. That's all I knew from AWOLNATION prior to coming into this. I've never really given them a chance, which is not, it's just, it never flew on my radar. And I only really know the Sail song because of the MGK remix, and then I went back and listened to it. It wasn't really even like, at that point in life, I'd already long stopped listening to radio, and really, unless it flew onto my radar, I didn't know what it was. So this is my first AWOLNATION album that I listened to. I feel like week after week I end up saying the same thing, but it's the truth, so bear with me. Came into it with an open mind, no idea what to expect, and spoiler alert, it's fucking awesome. So Sydney, why don't you tell us about your relationship with fucking AWOLNATION?
I started, well, I mean, I knew Sail. I knew, it's not your fault, it's not your fault. Yeah,
I have no idea. I only know Sail before this album.
Actually, the first time I heard that track, I thought it was Against Me, and then I found out that it was AWOLNATION. I was like, oh, cool. But yeah, no, I really liked Megalithic Symphony enough probably to call myself a fan.
Okay.
But I haven't really paid attention to anything that they've released since then. So this is, a little bit of a reintroduction to them for me.
Okay. So it's not like waste any more time with that. We just give you that context part so that if you're like a super fan or whatever, you understand that we are not, and we're just trying to enlighten ourselves to the awesomeness that is AWOLNATION, which, let me just say, is a great fucking title of a band. I mean, I've never really thought about it before, but it really, it's really good. Like a whole like vacant, empty nation of people whose brains are just AWOL and shit is what I'm picturing. It's fucking cool. And then here come the runts, and a runt is like the weak pick of the litter, so like the shitty one, you know, like the smaller animal that comes out of a litter of like 5 or 6, so it's like the outcast, the loser, you know, the one that like turns into the Disney movie and you know, great things happen to him. Which I think is maybe part of like the idea. To me, it's like I picture like this is what we're getting, some underdog shit, like Dodgeball, the true underdog story, but in like album form and probably a lot more serious.
Yeah, I mean, because he doesn't really like write love songs. Well,
I mean, conventional love songs.
Like I'm just basing this off of Megalithic Symphony, right? Like,
okay,
you look at a song like "Sail's" not a love song. "Kill Your Heroes" isn't a love song. Like these are really songs about rising above, I guess, societal pains and inner demons, and just kind of being what you got to be.
Right.
So it's a theme that runs through what they do.
It's cool because it's like you can tell that this is like all about something bigger, right? Even if you look at like that cover, like it's not my favorite cover. I mean, to me, it's kind of at a first glance non-distinct, but it probably has a lot of power and semblance for him. I mean, you see him with this old guy, and they're sitting there, and there's like way more behind them, and like they're just whatever. It's like it's kind of like one of those things where you have to kind of choose to go look at it to care about it.
What's written on the whiteboard?
Yeah, it looks like actually it's a blanket upon further inspection, and it does say just the name of the album and then the AW for their band, which is probably like, I guess, their thing or whatever that logo is, their band thing. And that's it, and I like it. There's a high degree of humility. It's not like he's trying to floss. He doesn't look like a superstar or anything. He just almost, if anything, looks plastic, which I think is cool. And there's like almost the same aesthetic that you got from like the music videos. And I did see the Sail video. I saw the videos a bit for this album. I'm not the biggest video person, but the aesthetic in those videos carries over to this album cover, which is cool because it's like you get the sense that this is just his style that he is displaying to everyone. Anyway,
what I do like about the videos for this album, from what we saw and what I've seen in the past, is that they're not just band performing. Like there's always some kind of context, some kind of in-video story going on. They take the extra step to actually be creative, give you a narrative, give you some characters, which is cool. But
I say we just fucking jump into this shit because there's a few songs that we still need to talk about, like 14 of them.
All right, well, here come the runs.
Yeah, here come them runs. Current efforts to have myself appear as less of a Mike Hogg and an asshole. Sydney, can you please start us off for the next 14 songs with your opinion? You'll just start. How do you feel about this one?
Whoa, that was like a hell of an introduction.
What's up?
It was good.
That's how we do. Go.
I want you to know that that's not coming from me. I was just as surprised as you guys.
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to show that I do care.
I felt that the intro to this intro, as it were, felt a little bit disjointed. It felt kind of like a placeholder. I really, really, really like the way the tempo shifts and the way that like really heavy metal gallop comes in. I felt it had a lot of energy after that. I really like the horns that come in. Like I felt they drove it really, really well. I felt the song was a little too short, which is something I don't say that often, but I felt like it could have climaxed a little harder. But overall, I enjoyed it. I gave it a 4 on 5.
That's cool. I happen to like the way it starts because it almost feels like the first time you listen to it, maybe you don't like how it starts, but the second time you listen to it, you know what's coming, so it feels a little bit different, right? Feels like you're building up to this exciting gallopy thing. I actually wrote, is that a gallop I hear? It was very exciting. But it was such an excellent use of tempo change, and it's something that I don't find I hear a lot of in music, where the tempo so visibly just progresses and changes, speeds up or slows down in the way that they did it here.
Well, I mean, you hear it a lot in like jazz, metal, classical, but you don't really hear it in like electronic industrial, which is more what these guys tend to lean towards.
But let's say in almost every album I reviewed, I can't say I can say nice tempo change very often. So it's clearly not an exploited effect over the last year of pop music that we have covered on this thing. That's where I'm going with it. So the fact that they did that was super cool. Plus it was like a genre flip, which reminded me of kind of like what I found appealing in Diablo Swing Orchestra's like genre switching in the song.
There's definitely a very similar mindset here. Not necessarily a similar style, but like...
Yeah. And you kind of like... There's not a lot of like lyrics to it. So right away you get the feeling that... And I don't know. I mean, Sale also didn't have a lot of distinct lyrics. And he's like... It's very emotionally driven music. So you get the sense of like... You feel what the song's about a little bit more than what the words are saying. And that makes it a little bit hard for me because I love good lyrics. So I had to kind of get over myself a little bit. And... you get the sense of this like passionate rallying cry, like these runts are coming, we're here, but like you're one of them, you, me, every one of us are one of them, and while the summoning call, like we can all rally together under this thing, but while also maybe commentating on something, but I couldn't figure out what the something was. I don't know. I'm certain that in like 6 months there will be detailed analyses breaking down the full lyrical scope of what the fuck he's saying on this album.
Let us know if you got it.
I did my best, but I was too caught up in the music, and that's a good thing. So I enjoyed how it flips up and it goes into like this heavier sound, and honestly, you go from kind of like vibing to just headbanging out of nowhere, and it hits you in the face like some bricks in the best possible way. And I have to say, I don't actually think it was too long or too short. I'm kind of happy that a lot of these songs are the length that they are in light of how dense they are musically and how much they throw into it. Really, like, it's really well put together. I give this a 4.5 on 5. I thought it was an excellent fucking opener. And when you open with your title track of your album, you gotta be strong, and they lived up to that. Like, there was no disappointment. Like, you see the album, you get this rally charge, you kind of like envision that with the name, and then it follows up to, like, if you do judge a book by its cover, this lived up to expectation properly to be. Yeah, that's all I gotta say about that. It's pretty fucking dope.
Had some passion.
Had a lot of passion, yeah.
I really like the sexiness in the verses of this song. It felt a little JT style, a little slow, a little smoldering. I enjoyed the heavy chorus. I like the industrial riffs a lot. There was a lot. There were quite a few moments on this record that reminded me of like early Marilyn Manson. And the chorus to this is one of them. Just like a little bit more melodic, but that same kind of like sludgy industrial, just like atonal grind. I really like that. I'm going to hold off until the next track to give this one a grade, because I feel like this song is two halves of a whole. Because it doesn't really end. It just kind of transitions.
No, he's right.
It's weird because they made a single. They made a video for this, like it's a single, but they just made a video for this half. So it works as a song on its own, but it works anyway. That's what I'll say for now.
Yeah, and but otherwise, this is a really cool song. So my first thoughts are, this feels real different, but it totally feels like it still belongs at home. And I really like it when artists can do that, because it creates this vibe of like, you know, at the very least, you might not like every song on the album. Maybe some are really going to hit you more than others, but you get the sense that you're not really going to get bored either along the way. Like, you're not going to get like the hour and 45 minutes Amigos experience, is I guess what I'm trying to say.
Was it a boring album?
It wasn't that it was a boring album. It's that it's an hour and 45 minutes of Migos. So if you are into that, it is exactly what you want. But even if you're into that, that is the length of a full feature film. And you sat there. Anyway, it's not that it's a bad album. It's that it's a long album, is all I'm going to say about Migos. No disrespect or anything. It's got its moments. I like the Stir Fry song a lot.
This Migos break was brought to you by Migos.
But on this track, though, speaking of, you get the whole idea that there's a spacey feel to this song instantly, and that the passion is passion, but that it's not real passion. It's passion that's induced by some potion or another right off the jump, giving you this inclination that there's some chemical involved, or that it's drugs or something to that effect. And it kind of sounds like he's high and spacey the whole way through. Like, he's just kind of out there, is something I noticed. He's got lyrics like, I found a potion for fixing passion. Go tell your homegirls, get the reaction. Out on the ocean for satisfaction. Go tell your homegirls what's the reaction. So it almost kind of sounds like he's out there pushing this shit too. So he's kind of like, you know, selling this idea, whether it's really just that passion in and of itself is the narcotic or whatever it is, and he's moving it out there, and then it kind of progresses. And I also like, I got a potion, it fixes passion, don't leave me floating out of the action, I'm sorry, happy belated birthday, go tell the whole world, wonder what they'll say, which made me wonder if this is commenting a little bit more on the Xannies and all of the slowdown of the painkillers and just the obsession of what's currently going on, almost criticizing that shit, whatever. And then the song kind of like floats, because there is the whole second part of this song which kind of reacts to this song, which is really cool, because basically the song never ends. All of a sudden you're in the next song, right? Yeah. And so the start of the next song is the end of this song, as it's going passion and shit. The beat like flips up and goes into what will be the beat of the next song, and then all of a sudden you're just kind of there. But I did give this one a grave because I could listen to them independent of each other, and I get this a 4.5 because all things considered, man, it's interesting. It might not be.
When I say I did give this a grade, I gave it an
individual grade, I don't know,
I'm gonna hold off on.
Yeah, okay, I understand.
Bestowing the grades,
but I'm bestowing now is what I'm saying. But like, all I gotta like say about like why it's so high is because you listen to this group and you realize that they're diverse. They have this ability to compose a full, interesting song that takes you on a journey in and of itself while still communicating some kind of idea, whether it be through the energy of the music and the lyrics or whatever. I'm certain the lyrics are all super potent and shit, and I don't want to undercut them at all.
Well, it's cool when you think of the idea of like of love as a drug, right? Like as a narcotic, which is not a new concept. And you think of it being toted or being peddled through music, through artistry, right? Being sold as an album, as a package to people who are waiting to lap up some kind of love, some kind of, whether it be real or not, right? Whether it be synthetic. So that's cool in and of itself.
I agree entirely, but let's go on to some more other subjects then with the sound witness system. Passion addict, passion basement, passion addict.
Today I found out dude can rap. I thought this was a featured rapper. Holden just corrected me and told me that it was him.
And if it is a featured rapper, my bad.
But yeah, no, I really like this one because it had like a dirty, slow hip hop feel, and coupled with the kind of like R&B industrial hybrid that was the previous track, that kind of flowed into this track. You really see a mastery of bringing these kind of disparate styles of music together in a really unified way. So that's cool. So together, I gave these two a 5 on 5. Individually, I gave them each a 4.5, which, because I felt like they just really, really, really worked well as separate songs. But when you stick them together, there's just this whole other level of appreciation that comes with it. And just looking at the different perspectives of passion, and you know, one is melodic, one is sung, and it goes through heavy and sexy, and then you get to this one, which is like kind of dangerous and slow burning. It's just really interesting, and it's all in like the short span of like 5 minutes, right? It's not even that long, even when you put the two of them together. So it's really cool that he got so much accomplished in such a little bit of time.
That's true. This one does come in. I felt it was like a throwback to like an older hip hop feel, like a na 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 na. Like it was very constant, very 80s almost, is what I kind of felt with it. And it just kind of raps through this like girl comes into the club, she didn't pay for anything, she's ready to go and shit. And then I really like the line. It's like, I can't turn her off after I switched on her ignition. She wants to add a friend and I'm a gifted mathematician. That's fucking clever. And I guess it's kind of having some fun with like the pop trends of the lyrics and shit. But then you get the chorus where he's like, passion driven, passion addict, passion basement, passion attic, like upstairs of the basement, passion domestic, passion abroad, passion always, passion God. I'm like, you know, he takes like the idea of this passion from being like this like almost nice, beautiful thing in the first song, and flips it into like the negative intensity that now appears associated with it. Like it almost reminds me of the way NERD describes like the coke using girls and shit, with all the girls standing in the line with the bathroom song there, and he kind of like really goes into like the sweating and the lost feelings and shit that happens. And like honestly, like at the end of the day, it's so unflattering as opposed to like maybe the glorious moments at like the beginning of the night. And I get a really good sense of that contrast between these two songs too, while maybe singing about otherwise like the same thing. And then it flips into that screamy shit he yells out at the end, which is cool because it's almost like you've had all this moment, and then if you really think about the crash of a moment, you're going to get that aggressive and not so positive feelings at the end.
Yeah.
So that kind of gets communicated with it as well. And I gave this one a 4.5, and collectively I gave them both a 4.5. I think they're both really great songs, but totally not my favorite songs, and not even my favorite on this album. So there is at least one I dig more than this, but they're still great. I think that really the first 3 tracks on this album, I plussed them all on Spotify. I thought it was like, what the fuck is this? How did I miss this band? Like I was enthralled is all I'm trying to say. That's it though. I don't have a lot more to comment because there's not a lot of lyrics to break down.
It's a miracle, man.
Yeah.
I tried to listen to this song a couple times, and it didn't really catch. It was really repetitive, and there was nothing in it that really stood out to me. It was like a driving, dancey rhythm, but it wasn't like there was no hook. There was no real. Having said that, I could see how this would do really well in a live setting. Like it's the kind of song that works as well at a club. It lends itself to remixes. It would do really well at a rock concert too. I could see people bouncing around and moshing to this. But in terms of listenability and re-listenability, I tried with this song more than I had to try for any of the other songs on this record. I just couldn't find anything in it for me. So I gave it a 3.6 on 5.
I liked it a bit more than that. So for one thing, this song conveys excellently a sense of urgency. What I mean is like there's a panic to the music. Like you want to go out there and dance and shit, but you're really dancing because the world's about to end. So it is a cool like emotional sense. And then if you really dig into the lyrics, and there might not be that many unique lyrics because a lot of it is I'm a miracle man. I want a miracle. You know, he's kind of like, but like even that idea, I want a miracle man, like it does give an interesting commentary in the state of people wishing for some savior to come back and like fix some shit up for them. And then you got lines like, I'm comfortable with who I am. I'm comfortable with my cynical stance. So it's like, again, a little bit to me like criticism about the way people are feeling and a reflection of maybe the mass perception of societies. And you got lines like, see, it's all around your head like a halo glow. It's circling the walls like your beautiful skull. The shock and awe, hysteria, while everybody plays with the soul and tongue. I want to know, I want to know. I want another truth. I lost my partner. What will I do? And in both lines, he talks a little bit about how he's lost a partner. So it gives me in a sense that like this is like a response to a loss in life or something. And he's just kind of reaching out for a miracle, emotional sense of urgency, praying on. And I actually do think that in a less obvious way, this song is completely coupled into the next song on the album in the same way that the previous two were kind of almost grouped together. So I guess I'll comment.
Miracle Man, Handyman.
Yeah, but like conceptually what they're about too. They link, like they're relatable subject matters, even if thematically they or the feel are a little less congruent. Still, I dug it. I gave it a 4. I kind of like the more calming beware of hysteria line. Like there's this, in the midst of all this madness, this calm voice appears about near the end of the song, warning him of the hysteria that is to come if he indulges this shit. Almost like there is a practical sense of common sense that exists. And it's so like, it's not like my usual cup of tea, but it's interesting. And I can appreciate the depth in this album so far. But yeah, next up is Handyman.
I felt this was a very modern song, one of a couple of very modern sounding songs, with that like modern sounding wispy indie style going through it. But I really liked how the acoustic guitar cuts through the really electronic production all the way through, and it kind of kept it grounded. It kept it sounding very alive, very natural. It's also a little bit cheesy, but it has a lot of heart. It's not my favorite song on the record, but it's something that I think I could go back to and listen again and again and have it grow on me a little more each time. I felt like there were a lot of layers to it, and I really liked the way that like the strings and the acoustic guitar and the electronic production all kind of weave and move around each other and blend to create a deeper sound. You know what, I really like his voice. We haven't said it enough, but he has a really malleable voice. He can mold and blend to a lot of styles, so that's really, really cool. So I gave this one a 4 on 5.
Okay. So this one is a clear commentary on the state of the American person's psyche to me. I mean, that's how I interpreted it. You can kind of see it in the verses. It's almost like the way he sings it is meeker, like an uncertainty is sung, like he's empathizing and relating. And it's got lines like, I'm a sinner, I must consider, I've never owned a gun. I'm a sinner, seasoned beginner, like lucky to be alive. You know, that's just like the middle part of that first verse where he's like considering he's a sinner, he's a bad person, but all these other extra conditions that get attached to it that are almost in like a contradiction. Like these are things that weigh down. Like think about that. He's a sinner. He has to consider, or the seasoned beginner, but he's lucky to be alive. Like, you know, in our position where we are, we're told we're lucky to be alive. But really in our understanding, you're a seasoned beginner. You don't really understand shit. But then you got like, I'm not brittle in the second verse. I'm just a little scared of your temperament, like of offending you, of approaching people. I'm not brittle. I'm just a little scared of my government. I mean, that's pretty fucking clear. Everyone can understand that part. And then like in the chorus, you get this sense of longing. Not like he is going to fix it. Like if at first listen, it might sound like he's saying he can be your handyman. But if you really listen, he's like, I wish for like a yesteryear or some shit where like, I could put like you to sleep and then like wake you up and fix you. Like I wish for this to happen. I want to make it better, but he doesn't make it better, and he just kind of wishes for it. And I felt that this song was an interesting contrast to the desire for a miracle man to come appear and then to follow up with like you can't even fill the role because of the state of things. I don't know if that's exactly what it was, but I thought it just made me think, and I really appreciated that. Plus, it's so soft and calm and serene compared to, let's say, the more high-energy shit we've just been slammed with, which is excellent placement for, like, the smoothness of this song. I gave it a 4. It's not exactly my cup of tea in terms of music. It's not something I'm gonna like jump on, but at the same time I would listen to this album through again A to Z, and I would totally enjoy it in the experience and context of this album, but maybe not as a standalone track, and that's preference. Yeah, it's still a really well-made song. I do just want to add on to what you're saying. Like the track placement in general is really, really cool on this record. There's nothing, you're never hearing the same thing twice in a row. Like he does a really good job of separating the styles and the moods and the feels pretty much all the way through. And you can say that because of that, there are some that are just a jealous buffoon. So I really, 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 really like this song. This is probably the poppiest thing that I've heard from him ever. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But it wasn't poppy in a way that sounded like it was appropriating any other style or aping any of the modern radio trends. It's fresh. The production is great. His voice sounds great. There's a lot of layers to this song. I really, really like the way that little guitar lick in the middle kind of mimics the vocals, but not in a way that it's just repetition. Like it's still adding a new layer to the track. The guitar sounds really, really serene, bubbly. It's really cool. I gave the song a 5 on 5. I did not feel exactly the same way. So the crux of the song is he's jealous of her, of someone, and he says it a lot. There weren't necessarily as many unique lyrics on this album, but I really did dig this part where he goes, you can tell that I'm a jealous buffoon. You can tell that I'm the only elephant in the room. Like, it's so bad that, like, it's consuming. It's toxic is what I'm picturing when I hear that, you know? Yeah. And lyrically, it's like whatever. He kind of has the chorus where he's kind of obsessed, almost like whatever. He's almost proud of the jealousy. Like this jealousy is a source of pride, and I've seen that in dating where like people honestly desire jealousy, like it's a measure of good or whatever. Like OkCupid asks you in their personality dating if jealousy is a healthy part of a relationship, and that's part of their matching criteria is how you answer that question. So yeah, but it's probably a commentary on all of us and our jealous desires for shit that we can't have. But
There are people who don't like to confront that part of themselves, though. Like they'll try to pass themselves off as someone who either doesn't get jealous or sees jealousy as a weakness, and maybe they've never really experienced it, or they've experienced it and never really understood it. So I can see from that sense presenting a song about that in kind of a relatable nature, just to kind of bring people through the idea that like everyone experiences this and it is okay.
Right. Yeah, and then but what I really got to comment on the song where it really adds credence, because let's say lyrically I wasn't as interested due to the high repetition. It's more the vibe of this song is fucking enthralling.
Right?
Like you get sucked right into it. It doesn't matter what this song's about because you just got this vibe.
I'm saying.
And I don't know how else to describe it. Like, but there's you groove to this song. Like you get lost in it, and for about 3.5 minutes, you know, anything could be happening, but your day's just a little bit better. And I don't know how to explain it. Like it's
it just feels natural, right? It
yeah,
feels like,
and that's the best way to describe this song. It's not that it does anything exceptionally spectacular, except that it creates a presentation of something that's pretty spectacular. But my interest isn't fully there, so I give it a 4. But I had to give credence that on a musical, compositional, non-lyrical front, I think this song is pure stellar awesomeness.
Yeah.
And totally something that would be great at a party or something, but at the same time be great when you're lying on the couch reading a book. And
Exactly.
that is a versatile fucking song.
it's a really malleable piece of music.
It also couples pretty nicely with the following track, 7 Sticks of Dynamite.
Lipstick like dynamite, 7 sticks of dynamite.
I don't know if this is my favorite song on the record. There might be one more later on that contends with it.
Okay.
But I really, 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 really like I can't add enough reallys. You look at blues, right? And a blues scale is not something, like it's something you learn early on as a musician, how to rock blues. It's kind of the foundation of a lot of Western music. And it's not something, like if you talk to a music expert or you talk to a music fan, they'll tell you that blues isn't something that you can do anything new with. A lot of people just kind of dismiss it because it's that there are so many iterations of like the same riff, the same song, the same theme, etc., etc., etc. Just because it's been done to death so many times over the last, you know, more than a century. But songs like this prove that there is still space and room to take blues and put it in a modern setting and give it new life, give it new perspective, give it a new voice. You know, and it's not a complicated song like blues shouldn't be. It's very simple. It's got the emotion, it's got the feel, it's got the intensity. The gang vocals in the chorus really bring it to another level. And it's not like it gets particularly heavy. Like he sings most of the song in his head voice, and then he just lets loose this brief but guttural scream right in the middle there. That's like that just fits, and it doesn't turn into metal. It doesn't turn into like a punk song. And you got to keep in mind this guy comes from like a punk rock background, right? So he's going to be incorporating that probably into his music, you know, in little ways until he stops making music. But this one, it keeps its heart in the blues. There's a lot of little licks happening guitar wise that are really cool. It's just a really interesting song, super listenable. I gave it a 5 on 5.
Okay, and so yeah, it totally couples with the last song. So the last song's about a jealous guy, and this one appears to be more about a promiscuous person of sorts. And I don't want to imply that it's a lady or something, but it does kind of imply that there's these like 7 shades of lipstick, and it's like dynamite, and that there's almost like a series of lipsticks for events. The party never really ends. It's this constant state of going through things. You got lines like, he's like, I want a chance to slow dance and trap that rabbit down the hole, And I'm not 100% sure what it's about, but I really got the illusion that it's about this person that's just kind of going out there all the time, like almost like the inciting the jealousy of the prior person that we were just discussing on the last song. But it does have this excellent feel. And what I've noticed at this point is really their formula is start simple, add complexity, and don't break the rules. Like they stick to what they're doing. The song it doesn't necessarily throw you unexpected curveballs. When you do think about the curveballs, they all make sense.
Yeah.
It's not like you're flipping anything out there, but they're delivering everything with such eloquence that nothing on this album feels wasted or missed so far. Like, anything I'm giving not perfect marks to, it's preference. It's not skill. It's not talent. It's just like you can't help but admire this AWOLNATION group. And honestly, like, I won't be shocked if we start hearing a lot more of them after this project, because it's so pop and safe still, but not in a negative way, in like the kind of direction you kind of want your pop music to go, where it's still fun and interesting to listen to, kind of like a Beck would take it or something like that, you know?
Because the thing is, there's still this like this punk rock aesthetic
Right.
that works its way through it. There's still this like kind of danger, kind of underlying feeling that like something's not right. It's simmering. It's not boiling. It's not shouting at you, but it's reminding you subtly.
Yeah, so I give it a 4.5 on 5 because I think it's a really awesome song. I really could see myself going back to it, and it's enjoyable, and you should bump it. So, on that note, there's a little bit of luck and a couple of dogs to go through. I would like to just start by reading this. All my friends have children. I have a couple of dogs. All my friends have children. I have a couple songs. They say I can't relate. I'm not sure they are wrong. All I need is you, a little bit of luck, and a couple of dogs.
See, I kept hearing all my friends are children. I have a couple dogs. And I was just like, I don't know why this makes me feel so uncomfortable, but it does.
No.
So now with the understanding that it's all my friends have children, I have a couple dogs, I'm going to bump my original grade from a 2 on 5 to a 3.5 on 5, because I still felt the song was a little pointless, but
I don't
it's cute.
agree. That's because you didn't have a conversation this week in your workplace that paralleled this shit. Literally, I said, but I have songs, and he's like, you can't relate, because he has his second kid on the way. And I was like, oh, this is relatable for me as a person who doesn't have children at 30 years old. So a lot of my colleagues...
Which is okay.
Which is fine. But,
it's okay.
But really, a lot of my friends have colleagues, and like Bonnie and I have cats. A lot of my friends have colleagues. I have songs.
A lot of your friends have colleagues?
I mean, children.
A lot of your friends have colleagues.
I meant to say children. All the parents say you can't relate. That's true. It's exactly how it goes down. And I'm not really sure that they're wrong, because I have no grounds for relating. But all I need is you, this person that I'm into, a little luck, and a couple dogs. Now, I like dogs way more than cats, so they really did have me with dogs. And I give it a 4.5, because if you think about this album's almost commentary on the state of things, this is just a little snippet of a regular commentary that continues on. Or maybe because it's hit so close to home, I thought it was so well done. But yeah, 4.5.
Commentary.
So then we had this table of one.
Table for one.
Before Sydney goes on, I just wanted to ask, is there a xylophone at the end of the song? Is that what that instrument is? Because it kind of sounded like a xylophone to me.
It might have been.
Feel free to go on now.
No, a xylophone is a perfectly respectable musical instrument.
I'm not saying it's
you
not.
will not hate.
I'm not hating. I just noticed. Observing.
Good. Anyway, I like the song a lot. It's a good song. Didn't have that, like, as long as I'm concerned. Sorry guys, I'm really tired. I didn't sleep that much last night. But as far as I'm concerned, there is nothing wrong with this track. I like the drum beat. I like it's simple, but it works very well in just kind of suiting the mood of the song. I like how things got a little more distorted in the chorus. I like the way the instruments blend. It's really catchy. It's got a lot of layers, something you can come back to. There's not too much that I can say about this track that I haven't said about any of the others, but I gave it another 5.
But if it counts, like, this track has layers like an onion, like Shrek. But no, I can come back and
like
add more. Yeah. So, I wonder if like anybody gets this reference. Like, we just drop them intermittently, and hopefully, if anyone's seen all of our shows, they'll appreciate it.
It's like The Office.
Yeah, it's a good reference. So this track actually, from a lyrical perspective, has a good message. So or an interesting message, I should say. It starts with like the idea of him wanting this like romantic situation, but this partner or she's out there wild, which if you think about the Jealous Buffoon and the Lipstick song, and then this track of like he doesn't have kids and he's not grounded, and we come to this song where it's just like, look at the pavement, our initials barely fit, I used an old nail while you kept the night lit, you know? So he's sitting there being sweet and romantic, that person's out there doing that thing. And then, see, I don't like this. I think I might just kick the dramatics, so watch out. So it's almost like you're setting up, like he's preparing for this ultimatum, which is presented in the chorus. And the chorus kind of is like, if you're lucky, you'll be like with me in the future, but I'm tired of your shit and shape the fuck up or else. But then it flows into the second verse where now he's at a table for one, or the refrain, I should say. So he like presents this like, I'm tired of your shit, I want things to go, and then it kind of gives the conclusion of what direction this situation went, forcing him to now be without the partner. And I love the kind of drama to it. I really like how at the end of the chorus he adds this extra layer of lyrics where he's like, I want to tell you my dreams, while he's saying I don't want you to leave at the same time. And that sounded really honest to me, but I only give this a 4 because I kind of had a lot of trouble getting into the groove of this song, whereas some ones I enjoyed a lot more. But I still really respect and admire this song, and think it might have had one of the strongest concepts as far as a cool song idea on a lyrical front of any of them on this album so far.
Just in terms of the groove, like, I like the way, because none of them are really overly complicated, but I felt like this one opened up more than any of the others, and it really stood out because of that. Like, it was simple, but it was simple in a way that was very, very different, and tonally just a lot more open, a lot more space to play around with, and I really appreciated that.
All right, let's talk about My Molasses.
As much as I like a good whistle, this one reminded me a little too much of just like 21 Pilots, a couple of Kid Cudi tracks, just some of that like downbeat, modern, sing-songy, emo hip hop. I don't hate it. Like, I like the song. It was just a little bit too similar to those other artists. The whistles didn't do much for me because it wasn't like a super original melody, and it was really, really repetitive, and it happened a lot throughout this track. So I mean, it's a good song, it's a catchy song, it's something I can listen to again. I gave it a 4 on 5, so I didn't let my personal bias drop the grade too much. But I really, really felt like it's one of the least original moments on the record.
First of all, the song is about My Molasses and sweet shit, and the whistly stuff makes it sweet, right? Because it's a sweet sound to hit the concept. I'm not hating
on the sweetness. I'm hating.
I am just saying that it is not as boring as you are making it sound in terms of the whistling. I happen to quite enjoy the pun delivered with like a pun of sorts, whatever the right word is, with the whistling. Like, it fit this track when it clicked what the song was about.
What I would have asked would have been for him to work the whistle melody just a little bit more.
Sure.
Because it was just kind of like a by the numbers melody and a by the numbers
whistle. But I think
whistle.
that's almost to the point. Because if you think about the song, what it's about, this person trying to fit in, you know, trying to go out of their way to do stuff, and then they're feeling kind of awkward and lost in their head and shit. And then they got lines like, I thought the party started 8:45. Soon after, found out that I'd ruined the surprise. They all just stood there laughing, loud as can be, like sugar canes. My face was melting. And then the whole My Molasses chorus. And this, so one of my buddies had a surprise birthday party coming up, and I thought I missed the party, so I apologized and asked him how it went, only to find out that the party was upcoming and spoiled his 30th surprise birthday party.
Oh, you goofed.
So that really, like, and you know what, my intentions were good, just like this guy, but it kind of sounds like, and you know what, I sat there and I felt really bad, and I ruminated for a bit, and then I moved on. That's kind of how I felt the song was, because then the second verse he's feeling more self-conscious, and then you get, I thought there's like more lines than this. I really like this. I thought the party started at 8:45. Felt like an idiot for ruining the night. They all stood stinking from the salt in the sea like sugar canes, and my face was melting.
Damn right they were salty.
Whatever. I really dug like just the whole sense of rumination and overthinking, and the confidence washing away, and then using the idea of like, you know, sugar and molasses and shit as like the thing with the whistling, really adding effect to the overall theme of this song, all things considered. I give it a 4.25. I think it's a little bit better than some of the other ones, but it's definitely not one of the favorite songs I have on this album. So it's definitely not like when a cannonball lands in the sea.
Cannonball! I love his voice. I just love his voice, especially when he's given this bark like he's doing on this song. And it's a hit or miss kind of thing. I could see how some people might be turned off by it, but you can hear like the rock roots, the punk roots, really coming through on a track like this. Musically, it's another one that's a little bit repetitive, but it's very, very driving, and it's got a real sense of scope to it. You know, wall of sound would be a good definition for this track, but it's not without purpose. Like it's a nice melody overall, and it's got a lot of energy. So I gave it a 4 on 5.
So pretty much all the lyrics are: I shoot like a cannibal, fuck like an animal, breathe in your love through my lungs like an addict does. I like that. I even like it like the 15th time you hear it. The song has a dope energy, builds up. He's just, like you said, punk energy is a good way to throw it. He's like screaming, it's layered, and it feels like he's lost this person. He's fucking felt all sorts of insecurities as time's moved on in his conquests, and then here he's exploding like a cannibal, and he's finally just like letting himself get free. There's this sense of loss and escapism and shit, but then if you really listen to the last chorus, there's a tone shift, whereas in the beginning it kind of sounds like a reckless cannonball. The last time he delivers that chorus, there's this triumphant nature, almost like you feel like he's winning, like this shit's finally about to happen for him and all of that. And it's got this really, really cool energy to it, and I really dug it, but I don't have a lot more to really add to the song, because for real, it really was just the same kind of thing looping out for about 3 minutes of musical progression, and all the rest of what I said would stand true. So I don't want to waste your time just kind of repeating myself. But yeah, for it's a good song. It's enjoyable. But I don't want to tell any tall tales.
You just kind of said he gave it a 4 on 5 in case you missed that.
Yeah, I did say that.
You said. This is another one that reminded me a little bit of old school Marilyn Manson. If you guys are feeling that throwback a little bit, let me know. Maybe it's just me. But especially in the way this track, this reminded me of a lighter version of a song like Lunchbox, or Worm Child. Is that the title of the song?
I have no idea.
Anyway. Yeah, a lot of Manson influence from those first couple records that I'm hearing here, and I dig it. I approve. I really like the way that the pitch shifting bass kind of sludges over top the drum rhythm. I like the use of the ride cymbal, because I just like the ride cymbal. It's my favorite cymbal. Just throwing that out there, drummers, use that ride, you're getting higher grade from me. There's that fucking scream again, which is always awesome. This song has like a real sense of evolution, of layers being added as it progresses. And I think there's like a synth flute happening in the middle there. Correct me if I'm wrong, but whatever it is, that's also a really cool effect. So I gave the song a 4.5 on 5.
I also gave this song a 4.5 on 5. It has a certain life to it, like a certain degree of distinction, whereas the last song had the energy. I feel like this song has the energy plus the personality to go along with it.
Yeah.
It's got lyrics, and it's kind of vague, so it's got lyrics like bang, bang, rope-a-dope, it's just a tall, tall tale in a tall, tall tale. Go ahead, steal my ball. It's just a tall, tall tale. You're just a bonk, and he like screams that shit out. I really enjoyed that part. But I got the sense that this is a little bit about mixed messages and responding to that shit, and like there's a certain degree of dishonesty and whatnot happening out there, which would fit a little bit the themes of this album and kind of some of the subject matter that has been explored already. I love the energy. I love the feel of this song. Like I said, I don't have better ways to describe it. This is one of the ones I dug more. And it kind of reminded me of some of the earlier tracks on the album, and like this middle part had like this kind of nicer slump in the middle, but now that that shit's done, we ready to like fucking jump right back up in this game. And it's
out.
yeah, something like that. But so I felt like it's cool. It's a good way to like build up towards the end of the album. Like you can, like if this was a movie, the boring middle part where everything falls apart's over, and now we're getting ready for like the final battle and shit, and so things are kind of picking up again.
That's a really good way to put it.
And this album does have a bit of a movie soundtrack feel to it, to the structure and composition, and the music in and of itself does tell a tale with it. So I really dig that. So anyway, let's just move on. Let's just talk about, as what Bonnie likes to call me, the buffoon.
Liked this track a lot as a short little instrumental track. It was cool. Kind of sound, it reminded me of something that might have like appeared on the original Matrix soundtrack. I'm not too sure about the title. I'm not sure if it was supposed to be a callback to Jealous Buffoon from earlier in the album. I don't know if they really had that much in common. I don't know that the title really suits the energy of the song, unless there's something I'm missing here.
There's just something you're missing.
There's something I'm missing?
A little something at the end.
Okay. Other than that, I like the track, man. I like the way it kind of descends into chaos and then floats off silently. That was really cool.
It's not 100% silent.
My bad, bro. So Holden's gonna correct me right now, but I gave it a 4 on 5. It's really creepy, sci-fi kind of vibe.
I also gave it a 4 on 5. It kind of sounds like the soundtrack to an action sequence being planned out and prepping in a cool space sci-fi. So not the action sequence, the planning and prepping right before the action sequence.
Right.
And or the video game music. Either way, sci-fi themey, and then it explodes and blah blah blah. But at the end, you hear this faint thing, and the Grammy goes to heh 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 heh, and it just kind of like laughs. And it flows right into the next song. And I was like, okay. That's fucking interesting on a song called The Buffoon. And you don't really catch it, but it clearly says, and the Grammy goes to, and then flows in. I don't know if they won a Grammy. I'm not sure. Sales seems like it could have. That seems like Song of the Year contender.
He does. He also seems like the kind of guy who would look at the Grammys and go, huh.
Yeah, he'd still show up and take it. Like, you don't snub the Grammys. But yeah, he would feel like that. I mean, you snub them for political reasons if there's a good reason to, but
they're a little. I'm not gonna get into my opinions on the Grammys here.
Yeah, no, it's not fair. I would show up if I won a Grammy. Is all I'm saying. But
send a video maybe.
I gave this a 4. It was a nice little ditty, but outside of this album, it has no purpose to me. So that's cool. So let's stop that fucking train, bruh.
Stop it. So earlier when I said that I wasn't sure if 7 Sticks of Dynamite was my favorite song, like this is the other one that is a solid contender for favorite song on the record. Man, what an outro. Oh my god. This song just kept taking me by surprise all the way through. It does not get boring. A lot of it again reminded me very much of early Madsen, but at the same time, there was some really melodic parts, back and forth between some really aggressive parts. It never loses momentum. It just keeps going, and it just keeps nailing everything that it attempts to do. This is an experiment that just passed with flying colors, and that fucking outro riff is just so heavy, and the strings come in, and it's just huge, and it's a great way to end the album. I loved it. 5 on 5.
So yeah, this song has 4 parts. Yes, there are 4. Don't even give me that look. I can justify.
4.
So there is the first part, which is he meets this person who he's falling in love with and losing himself to them. It's like he's waking up and, you know, whatever. And that would be the first part of the song. And then the second part of the song, he's salvation in this person. Like, he says shit like, for you I jump in front of a train, I lay in front of a bus, for you I jump in front of a train, forever my companion. So he's lost in this person, you know?
Catch a grenade for you, for example.
Exactly. And then never mind my mind is literally something he says in part 2. Part 3, shit is not what it seems. You gotta stop the train, get the fuck out that shit. And in the first part, he refers to her as the conductor, as this person that he's into. And then there is a part 4. He kind of whispers out like, it's the end. Like at the very end, the very silent part. Something I forgot to mention actually on the little skit song, A Little Luck and a Couple of Dogs, is that in the midst of all the chaos and noise and that is on this album, it forces you to have 2 or 3 seconds of pure silence before the next song starts. And if you think about how the song on this album ends, it forces you into a couple of seconds of silence at the end of this barrage of fucking noise. And it's really interesting when bands can do that, can take that kind of fade out appeal and keep the magic of the song alive just a little bit beyond the actual lifespan of the song. And I feel like it accomplishes that with great effect. Each part of the song progressively gets more intensified with emotion, more energy gets thrown into it. So it's very much the same core sounds, but each part's a little harder and a little faster and a little stronger until he's like practically screaming by the end of the song. And honestly, there was no doubt in my mind, this is my favorite song on this album. It is one of the best album outros you can probably find. It's definitely my favorite one in 2018. Okay, relax, Holden. It's very early still. But yeah, this is a great fucking album outro. If it was a list of album outros, this might make my top 10 at the end of the year.
Best outro of January.
That's what I'm definitely the best outro of January. Or no, it's February. No, it came out in January. I'm wrong. Or is it? No, it came out in February.
It's February 3rd. Let's relax. Best outro of January.
It's in February. That's all I'm trying to say. Anyway, I'm just kind of getting ahead of him. So now we're just arguing about nothing. I give it a 5. It is a clear fucking perfect song for me.
Speaking of the album as a whole, I felt that it was a really experimental album, but at the same time, the style of music that they make is very experimental in general, in nature. So you know, they did not shy away from that. 14 tracks on this album. They're all very different, while at the same time still maintaining a really similar vibe, similar feel. Like none of them really sound like they don't belong on the record. So it's some of it's hit or miss. It's a little bit inconsistent for me, but when it works, it really fucking works. And I mean, I'm always a proponent of try the experiment and see if it works rather than shy away from it. It's definitely some of my favorite songs, I think, of February so far. On this record.
It's this and Justin Timberlake.
I'm glad we did this one. But yeah, no, I give this album in general 4 on 5. It's just a solid record.
That's cool. I give it a 4.33. I was quite impressed with the diversity, with the overall talent. The things I didn't like, like I said earlier, are preference, not actual style. It's like style. They have a good sense of style, and when you do, not everything you do is necessarily going to be everyone's cup of tea in every single case, but the fact that they can make such a varied array of different but still grouped together well songs is impressive. I dig this shit. It makes me want to go back and see what I was missing on the last few albums. It makes me want to explore their past catalogs, and it makes me excited to see what they're going to do next. I can say I'm now a fan of AWOLNATION hashtag. I feel like there's a hashtag that should just be in front of that. And it honestly made me want to go to Montreal's Osheaga Festival more to see what more of these little bands I can come across and enjoy, because I picture like they'd be there. Anyway, all that to say, great album. I enjoyed it, and I hope you did too. So let us know in the comments what you felt about it, and remember, by doing so, along with a subscription and a like, enters you into our contest. And let us know what albums you want to see us cover that are coming out in 2018. Do you think this is the best album of February so far? You let us know. On that note, we'll see you next week with a thing that we'll cover and talk about. Peace.